Hi, my name is Emily, and today I'm going to be going over library research basics. So I am the user services librarian here at BCSU. So I am going to be your number one resource on how to find resources and how to do your research. So this video is going to be going over that in the context of ART 311. So before we get into research, I just want to go over 3 key places that you can go to find help if you are struggling to find your sources. The first is the library reference desk, which is where you can always find me. I sit there all day waiting for people to come ask me questions, and I am there to help with finding your sources, doing your research, coming up with your research topics, and also citing your sources. You can meet with me in person or virtually over Teams. So Teams is another good place to find help. And then finally, the library website. So when you are looking for your information and your resources, when you're doing your research for your papers, you always want to go to the library website. You don't want to go anywhere else. You want to always start at the library website. And I can help you with that as well if you ever have questions about how to use the library website. But that's what this video today is going to be going over. So before we head over to the library website, I just want to say a quick thing about the internet. When you are searching for information, you always want to start on the library website. This is because the information, by and large, that you find on the library website is going to be much more trustworthy and much more reliable than information that you can use in your academic context that your professors will accept as information than what you would find on Google. And not saying that there isn't good information on the internet that you can use and incorporate into your paper, but you always want to go and start with the library website as your number one place. So let's head over there now. So this is the library website. This is really easy to get to. It's library.bcsu.edu. And this is where you're gonna always wanna start your research. So a couple things about the library website, if this is your first time visiting it. You'll see a number of tabs here. So you have Search Everything, Books Plus, Articles Plus, Databases, and Research Guides. I would urge you to start with the research guide. So that is actually where this video is located right now. So you want to start with the research guides because that will point you in the best direction to go for finding sources in that given subject area. If you go to Search Everything, so this main bar right here, you're going to get so many results, and often they're going to be not on the topic that you're researching. So I would urge you to use Search Everything as your last resort, not your first place to go. Articles Plus works in the very same way. It's going to be searching for every article we have in every subject area, but there are better ways to narrow your search when using the databases that will allow you to find peer-reviewed sources that are relevant to your topic. Books Plus is a good place to go when you are looking for books. I always encourage students to use a combination of articles and books in your research. So if you are looking for books, Books Plus is a good place to go. And books are good because they will allow you to have a broad view of the topic, and then articles will be very much more specific about a certain artist or a certain type of art. Whereas books are just going to be much more general. And so I would definitely encourage you to use books, but don't just use books. And the same thing for articles, don't just use articles. So to find articles, there are 2 good places to go. There are the databases, and we can view the full list of databases, and I'll take you into some databases in a couple minutes to show you which are good ones to use. And then there are research guides, which is another good place to go for pointing you in the right direction of which database to use. But before we get into articles, I want to talk a little bit about books, and let's do an example search. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using abstract expressionism as our research topic, just to kind of show you an example of how to use your searches. So first thing you want to do is click on the advanced search. That will take you to this page, and this is always recommended to use the advanced search, and I'll show you that in the databases as well. Because when you are using the advanced search, you're just able to control the search a lot better, and you usually get more results, and it ends up saving you time because you are able to control that search. So I'm going to put in abstract expressionism. So you can see that I put it into quotation marks. The reason for that is if I had it outside of quotation marks, it would look for the word abstract anywhere and the word expressionism anywhere, but it wouldn't look for those two words together. But putting them in quotation marks will just search for those two words as one phrase. Then under material types, I want to make sure that books is selected. And we are on the library catalog. And let's do a search and see what we get. So we have 27 results, which actually isn't too bad. Sometimes you'll do a search and have 4,000 results, and sometimes you'll do a search and have 2 results, but 27 is actually a pretty good number to have. And so from here you can see the books that we have that are, the abstract expressionism is mentioned in. So we have Movements in Art Since 1945. We have, this one has abstract expressionism in the title of the book, the second one here on the list. And so that would be a good one to look at because it probably is one of the main focuses of that book. And so you can go through the list and see which books you want. And then also here you can see that most of the top list are books that are physical paper books in the library. And then where it says available, it'll have a call number there, and that's the location that it is located in the library. Most books on art are going to be located on the second floor stacks because that's where our 700s are, and art falls into the 700s. But if you would like to request the book, so you can just pick it up at the front desk, you can just click on the title. And then if you sign in, you should be able to request the book. So then you get back to the page after you've signed in, and then you can just hit that request button and then tell us when you want it to be picked up, and then we can have it ready for you for when you come in the library. That way you don't have to go hunting for it. But I would also recommend searching through the stacks because all the books on a certain topic are going to be on the shelf together. So even if it doesn't come up in your search, going into the stacks and looking in that area is not a bad idea because you might find things that you didn't realize that we had. So that is a very quick, simple, easy way to find books. If there ever is a book that we don't have at the library that you would like to get, we can request it through interlibrary loan. And that is a completely free service where other libraries will send us books. But if you want to explore that, just talk to the library staff and we can help you out. So back to the library website, we now are going to talk about articles. So like I was saying earlier, you can either find articles through the databases or through the research guides. I'm going to go to the research guides just because it is easier to use, quick, simple. It'll tell you exactly what databases you want to use. If your professor recommends a certain database or you've used a database in the past that you had a lot of success with, then you can go straight to the full database list. But sometimes we have a lot of databases, so sometimes that list can be kind of overwhelming, and it's easier just to go straight to the research guides. So I'm going to go to the art research guide since we are searching abstract expressionism. That is where we're going to want to start. And so you can see here we have a couple of key resources listed here. So the top two, JSTOR and Academic Search Premier, are databases, and that's where you can find articles. But you could also head over to the Find Articles tab and see that they're both also listed there. So we're going to head over to Academic Search Premier. And just like with the catalog, we are going to want to go to that advanced search. So I'm going to put in abstract expressionism. Again, in quotation marks like we did in the database. And then before we hit search, I want to scroll down here, and this way we can narrow down our search so we won't be getting too many. So we definitely want scholarly peer-reviewed. So that means it has gone through a process where other people who study the same thing have reviewed the article and have deemed it correct and trustworthy. So we definitely want scholarly peer-reviewed. Publication type, we are looking for a periodical. So that means it's going to be a journal article. We won't be getting newspapers or books or things like that. Depending on your topic, you may want to narrow it by publish date, but because we're searching an art topic, I don't think it's necessary. But if you were searching something like a science or a current events issue, you might want to narrow it by date because then you'll get more recent stuff. So let's do a search and see what we have. So we have 175 articles. From here, 175 is kind of a lot to go through. I usually recommend having between 50 and 100. But from here, you can either narrow it down further. You may want to narrow it by a certain artist within abstract expressionism or a certain medium that you could narrow it down by. But for purposes of today, I don't think we need to narrow it down. And then from here, you can scroll through and find which articles you want to use. So you're going to see one of two things. You might see this Get It at Valley City State University button below the article. If you click on that, it'll take you to a new page and it'll tell you whether or not we have the article in a different database. And if we don't, like it's looking like here, and where check for available services is grayed out like that, you'll just want to sign in and then request it through Interlibrary Loan. And then the library will email you a PDF of the article within 2 or 3 days. Back to the so that's what you'll get when you see this Get It at VCSU button. If you see PDF full text, that means you can just click on that article right then and see the full article, and then you can download it to your computer and have it. If you are in a rush to get your sources, so you say the paper is due tomorrow and you need to get the sources right away, which isn't recommended, but if that is the case, you may want to narrow along the left-hand side of the screen to full text. That way you won't have any of the Interlibrary Loan sources coming up. And then we can just click on the full text and get the full article. So that's Academic Search Premier. The way that I like to talk about databases is to think of them as file folders. So you have a file folder for Academic Search Premier and you have all these articles in there. And then you also have another file folder for JSTOR, which is another database, and you have all different articles in there. So just because you do a search in one database, and if you don't find what you're looking for, or you find that that database doesn't have a lot of your topic, try going to a different database, because that will expand your search, and different databases cover different topics better. So I always recommend using more than one database. So just to quickly show you JSTOR, it looks different. So we want to go to the advanced search again. So it looks different from Academic Search Premier, but it works in pretty much the same way. So if we put abstract expressionism in, and then we want articles, we can do submit advanced search. So we have 1,500 articles actually for this one, which is a lot. So we may want to narrow this down a bit further. So we can narrow it down along the left-hand side by subject to art and art history. We still have over 1,000, so we may want to narrow that down definitely by a certain artist or a certain time period within the contemporary art movement, or by a certain medium. There's a lot of ways that you can narrow that down, and that's something I can help with at the library. And then from here, we just can scroll, find an article that we want. So say we want this article right here in Defense of Abstract Expressionism. We can just hit that download PDF button. I accept, and it'll take you to the full PDF of the article. And there we go. That is finding articles. So let's head back to the library website. If for some reason you looked in the databases and you couldn't find what you're looking for, then that's when you could come to the Search Everything tab. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing it because you would just get too many resources in every subject area, and you don't want that. So to wrap up, Again, where can you get help with this? The library. The library is the number one place that you want to go to get help with finding your sources. Just come and see me at the reference desk or send me an email or call me at the library and I can help. But you can also go on the library website and use our chat service and I can help that way too. Or you could text the library and I could help that way too. We can meet over Teams or in person, so just let me know what works for you and I would be more than happy to meet with you and to help you come up with your research topics and find those sources and then also cite those sources.